March is Credit Education Month, and having a good credit score is an important tool you need to have to qualify for renting an apartment, buying a house or car, or maybe even qualifying for another credit card. Sally Taylor is the Vice President and General Manager of Scores at FICO. Good morning, Sally, and thank you so much for being with us. First of all, tell us, what is a FICO score for people who don't know, and why is it so important to have a good one?
Sure. A FICO score summarizes your credit report into a 3-digit number. So credit reports are maintained by the 3 credit bureaus, Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. The FICO score looks at things like how long you've had credit, how much credit you have, how much of your available credit is being used, and if you've been paying on time. So the FICO score helps lenders determine how likely you are to repay a loan, and that in turn affects how much you can borrow and how much it will cost in the interest rate.
And it seems like we can make timely payments month after month after month, but boy, you miss that one payment and all of a sudden your credit score takes a big hit. What are some of the other things that can hit your FICO score, and how can people improve it?
Sure, that's a great question. And the good news is that the FICO score is dynamic and it changes with your behavior. And it's also very relative. If you have a lot of historical credit and you've been paying a long time, one missed payment isn't going to make a big deal. But if you have very little credit, it might make a little bit more of an impact because you have less other information. But the important thing is your FICO score today doesn't have to be your FICO score tomorrow. There are several things that a consumer can do to improve their FICO scores. One is stay up on paying your bills, pay them on time, pay your credit on time, and apply only for the credit that you need. And consumers should also actively monitor their FICO score, because research has shown that consumers who frequently check their FICO score are more likely to have a higher credit score.
And how can you do that? I think people feel like if they're checking to get their FICO score or maybe get their credit report, that's going to hurt them. Is that true?
That's actually not true. If the consumer checks their credit report or score, it has no impact on the score. It's only when you apply for credit that it might have impact. So the first important thing in monitoring your score is to make sure it's a FICO score. This is a score that's 90% of lenders use. And so if it doesn't say FICO score, it's most likely not a FICO score. There's several ways that you can monitor. Over 200 financial institutions give their customers free access to the FICO scores that they use to manage accounts. So many people receive their FICO scores through their institutions on their monthly statements or on their mobile banking app or web portal. You can also go to myfico.com to monitor your score.
Okay. And for people who don't really have established credit, how can FICO help them?
Yeah, that's a great question. The good news is that lenders want to include new borrowers, but they're limited in a sense with someone who doesn't have any credit history in their ability to assess credit risk. So to help address this, FICO's led the way in the use of alternative data and innovative credit scoring techniques. We've introduced scores like FICO Score XD and the Ultra FICO score. They look at additional information such as how you've paid your telco or utility bills, information from your checking and savings account. In fact, we can score 90% of credit eligible consumers in the US. The other important thing is financial education. So we created Score a Better Future. It's a financial education program that works with nonprofits nationwide, and it helps consumers understand their credit and their overall financial health. Our next virtual event will be held this April, and it's free, and you can go to scoreabetterfuture.com for more information.
I think that's great information, because I think a lot of young college students who maybe don't have credit cards or they haven't signed the rent lease yet and been making those payments to establish credit, they're coming right out of college and thinking, oh my gosh, I don't have a FICO score. What am I going to do? So it is nice to know that there are ways and that there is help out there for them. Anything else that you'd like to add, and maybe tell us what's the best credit score and how do you get there? And boy, the discipline it takes to keep a good credit score, because it's so important.
Sure. credit scores range from their 300s to 850. So 850 would be the best, but you don't need the best to have good credit. Anything in the upper 700s is great credit. And people who are in the 800s have no problem getting all the credit they need at the best terms. So I think that's really important. You know, it's not really a matter of perfection. It's just a matter of behaving responsibly with your debt, tried and true, always pay your bills on time, and don't take on more credit than you need.
That's good to know. I just have one quick question, Sally, and then I'll let you go. You know, when we're getting those credit card offers constantly in the mail, and they say, "Oh, you've pre-qualified for this great new credit card," what should we do with those? What should we think about those? And if we're replying to them, how are they processing those applications?
Sure. So when you reply to those, they process them as though you applied for credit. So it's not really any different there. And the way you consider that is not different either, right? Only apply for credit that you need. You don't, if you don't need the credit, don't get it, because it's all about maintaining your balances in a way that you can afford it.
Ah, that's good to remember. Don't get any more credit than you. If it's there, it's so tempting to use it, right? It doesn't necessarily mean we can afford it. All right. Thank you so much, Sally. We appreciate it. Where can somebody go for more information if they'd like to learn maybe about that free workshop or other important information?
Sure. For the free workshop, scoreabetterfuture.com. And for more information about your FICO score, myfico.com.
All right. Thanks so much. It was a pleasure. Appreciate all your great, valuable information. Have a good day.